June 1st, 50% tariff on the EU. Why not? I don't know.
All right, we've got some breaking news for you. It's just come in. President Trump saying he wants a straight 50% tariff on the EU beginning June 1st.
Yep, that's
because
close.
Trade talks are stuck. He is
Sure.
typing away and also going after a U.S. company, a big one, Apple, which is already seeing its stocks get a hit. Let's go to CNN's Elena Treen, who is live for us at the White House. Tell us what you know as we're seeing these social media posts come fast and furious this morning.
Yeah, this was definitely a bit of surprise here at the White House, Sarah, and we learned of this. He really delivered this new policy via social media, something, of course.
Really? He did?
The president often does. I want to read for you a little bit of what he wrote, because clearly he has long taken issue with the European Union, and now we're actually seeing that result.
I'm so fucking sick of the sane washing where these delusional dipshits who have the you know, they're facing down a gun barrel and they're like, let's like it's every psychotic thing that happens, you have to give it a play-by-play, like it's a like the enemy team coach is concocting some kind of devious plan that you have to like analyze and take seriously. Like no mockery is allowed. That, by the way, like again, this is a very American phenomena. Remember, every time we've taken a look at British, French, German, Australian news, they were very willing to tear into politicians. Like they were not afraid, Canadian as well, they were not afraid to show contempt. Like just disregard, like with these, like this moron, what is he doing? Like that sort of thing. Nobody talks like that here.
In real repercussions, ones that, of course, are going to be impacting the market today once they open. He wrote, quote, "The European Union, which was formed for the primary purpose of taking advantage of the United States on trade, has been very difficult to deal with." He went on.
Fox News mocks too. Yes, I'm sorry. I guess I should have been clear. It's the anything left of center in the United States that feels incapable of doing this. The right in America is perfectly capable of taking a derisive tone with their enemies.
To say that there are powerful trade barriers, VAT taxes. He talked about monetary manipulations, etc., all citing that as reasons for what he argues is a massive trade deficit with the United States. He went on to say, "Therefore, I am recommending a straight 50% tariff on the European Union starting on June 1st of 2025. There is no tariff if the product is built or manufactured in the United States." So again, this is a huge development.
That's
Sarah,
great.
because of course, the European Union is one of the biggest, they're not one country, but bloc that the United States and this Trump administration has been trying to negotiate with. We actually saw the Italian Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, come to the White House earlier, a couple weeks ago, to really negotiate on behalf of the European Union, because she, unlike a lot of different European countries, has a really good relationship with the United States. And there was a thought process that...
I wonder why. Wonder what about Meloni would mean that she would have, by default, a better relationship with the president. Do you understand, like, why Americans are the way they are? Like, even a serious, bespectacled American who would sit down in their lounge chair and watch some CNN to catch up with the news, they are missing so much information just watching this. There's so much, like, obvious, straightforward information they're not getting because the dickless adherence to civility and norms following means that you can't say obvious shit like, well, the reason Meloni gets along with the US is because she's a fascist. She's a member of Mussolini's party. She was a supporter of Mussolini before it was essentially mandated that she pretend not to be. But you won't get that here, even though it's, I mean, that's not really like lefty analysis. It's pretty straightforward.
Perhaps she could be the one to kind of assuage some of the president's big frustrations that he has with the EU. As of now, clearly, it sees that those negotiations have not been going well, that they are stalled. And rather than waiting for the end of that 90-day period, remember, the president initially, when he had put on these different tariffs, these reciprocal tariffs for all of these different countries, he said when he paused them that he would give them 90 days to negotiate these. Now the president is moving up the timeline specifically for the EU because he's very frustrated with how he argues they are treating them for trade. So major development. He says 50% tariffs will be placed on all of the EU by June 1st.
Yeah,
cool.
We're also seeing the futures react to that, and it ain't good.
Yeah.
Things are dropping fast. The president didn't just go after the EU, though. He went after a U.S. company, Apple. What are you learning on that?
Yeah, it's clear the president is very focused on trade today.
He's also mad they all banded together to help Ukraine. Well, according to Scott Bessent, after he met with, the G7 finance leaders, Bessent's essentially argued that the EU isn't arguing in good faith. My guess is that most of the countries that have talked to the United States since the global reciprocal tariffs were put into place are desperate and servile because America is America and they really want to trade with us, right? If you're a country like the Philippines or Vietnam or Laos or Cambodia or whatever, Bangladesh, you are really, really, really reliant on exporting to the United States. Like, that's a huge part of your economy, and you will do anything to open that back up, right? Now, the European Union obviously relies a lot on exporting to the United States, but also on importing, so there's a mutual hurt there, and also they're, a wealthy trading bloc, right? The EU is quite powerful, so my guess is that the EU just isn't as willing to budge as some of these other countries. I believe the president believes that the EU proposals have not been of the same quality that we've seen from our other important trading partners. Did I miss something? He worded it weird. I recommend tariffs. Isn't he the person to decide that? Yes, you're right. He should be the person to decide that. But keep in mind, Trump's not actually making the decisions for this presidency, right? There's so much revealing language that you get all over the place that Trump is just the doddering mascot they pull out and other people are really pulling the strings. The way he kept saying I'll talk to my lawyers when asked about the constitutionality of revoking habeas corpus or deporting people without a trial or whatever. Even this language. I believe the president believes that the EU proposals have not been of the same quality that we've been seeing from our other important trading partners. Translation, a third party has told me to ask Trump to ramp up tariffs in the EU. Because if Bessent had actually had a conversation with Trump about this, Trump is not very evasive in his language. Trump would have just flat out said, I think they're playing us. And Bessent would say, Trump believes the EU proposals have not been of the same quality. This obfuscation right here, it's a third party. Or covering his back. Nah, there's no covering his back. Who cares at this point? In what? Who pinning ruinous tariffs on Trump? We're past that point. And yeah, you're not wrong. The way Trump signed off on both of these posts is pretty f***ing weird. I have long ago informed Tim Cook of Apple I expect their iPhones, unnecessary apostrophe, that'll be sold in the U.S. of America will be manufactured and built in the U.S., not India or anyplace else. If that is not the case, a tariff of at least 25% must be paid by Apple to the U.S. Thank for your attention to this matter. And then for the EU one, right after, at the end, thank you for your attention to this matter. Sort of just an odd... again, he's like 80, 90, 100. He's been using that phrase a lot. Yeah, I suppose so. I feel like he doesn't normally say it like that, but maybe it's just a vibe thing. Therefore, I am recommending a straight 50% tariff in the European Union. Recommending to who? Out of curiosity. I don't know.
Because he also posted some sort of warning, really, to Apple CEO Tim Cook. He said that essentially he wrote, quote, I have long ago informed Tim Cook of Apple.
Seriously, who benefits from this? Nobody does. It's economically ruinous for everyone involved. Nobody benefits from it. My bet is still on that a significant number of the people in the Trump administration are power-hungry oligarchs who want to cause a recession because it would allow them to proportionally become far more powerful than they already are. But in raw numbers, I don't think it benefits them at all. Yeah, there is also the market manipulation play where by constantly applying and removing tariffs, you have the market jump up and down, which means that people like Marjorie Taylor Greene can constantly buy in right before the boost and sell right before the drop.
That I expect their iPhones that will be sold in the United States of America will be manufactured and built in the United States, not India or any place else. He went on to say that if they do not do that, they will be paying a tariff of at least 25%. Now, you mentioned this, Apple already falling roughly 2% in pre-market trading. I note as well that Tim Cook was actually just here at the White House a couple days ago on Tuesday to talk with President Trump. But this has also been something that the president has been very fixated on, wanting Apple to move manufacturing of iPhones back to the United States. Now, primarily, Apple manufactures these iPhones in China, but they've also begun to move some of that production to India because they are in better standing with the United States. They understand where the president's kind of frustrations and potential policies could come from. But this is really an entirely new concept now that we are hearing from the president, that if Apple does not change things and does not change things swiftly, he is going to be placing a 25% tariff on them. All to say, between this and what he is doing,
a company-specific tariff is pretty insane, but I guess this is like the world we live in now, so, you know, whatever.
With the EU, major moves that are going to have very big consequences, and I'm sure we'll be seeing.
Like, keep in mind, the entire legal pretext for the president being able to issue tariffs is the idea that he's doing so in the protecting America from like an emergency threat, right? So all of the tariffs that have been applied have been like, well, fentanyl emergency, immigration emergency, you know, monetary manipulation emergency. But with Apple now, I guess, like, I mean, whatever, it's not like the law exists anymore, so.
Some of those in the markets today.
We are starting to see them already. If you look across the board, everything has dropped. This is the gift that nobody really wanted for this holiday weekend. Thank you so much, Elena Treen. I know you'll be watching all the details of how this rolls out. And
does he not understand that it's impossible? No, and it doesn't matter. At some point, he will roll these tariffs back, of course. They're not going to stay in place forever. Nothing will, right? We'll all be dead one day. But the chaos in the meantime. Look, just keep an eye on the Unusual Whales account and see who mysteriously sold right before the announcement and who buys right before they get removed.
Response and reaction. Appreciate it.
All right, the breaking news this morning. President Trump just threatened to hit the European Union with a 50% tariff on all imported goods. He says negotiations are not making any progress. You can see stock futures turning sharply lower, really, the minute he made that threat. He's also threatening Apple, saying if it does not...
Yeah. Oh, man. Remember, in order for Hitler to become chancellor, he had to take advantage of Germans' ennui following the Great Depression. Our economy was doing more or less okay, so I guess you had to create one. Ozempic gonna get way more expensive? That's probably okay. I still think that shit is weird, man. The problem with, like, diet pills wasn't just that they don't work or are unhealthy or whatever. Like, even if they did work and were healthy, I feel like there's some other social problems with them. Strong disagree, not everyone can just willpower weight away. I'm not interested in talking about this. Because everyone, it's very much like, well, your explanation has not accounted for my specific set of experiences. Me, the main character of the universe, I will now get mad at you. Holy dead air. You can't say that after me not talking for 5 minutes. It's a live stream, not a news broadcast. You piece of shit. You make me self-conscious about it. Oh no, the guy didn't talk. You know, it's normal in your day-to-day life to not talk for 5 entire seconds. Sometimes I take a sip of coffee. Dead air. Jesus Christ. I guess my main issue with Ozempic, it's not a moral thing. It's more like people already have a lot of trouble separating their perception of health from their perception of being thin, because being thin does not mean that you're healthy. So I just worry if there are two pathways to getting skinny, one of which also makes you healthy and the other one doesn't but is easier, people are going to choose the one that doesn't really fix the health issues. So it's going to be like, well, as long as you have money, you can basically always be skinny because of the Ozempic. But it doesn't really, kind of like discourages people from engaging in the health side of things. And now there's like a monetary element to it. I don't know. Because if you're going to be unhealthy, it's probably better to be a little overweight than a little underweight.